Hello, everyone. How's it going? This is Immigration Attorney Moumita. I'm coming to you live to talk to you about immigration and to see the questions that you may have on your mind today. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Moumita Rahman, and I am an immigration attorney. I have been practicing immigration law for the past 13 years, and it is my pleasure to do the work that I do because I believe that immigrants make America great already. So if you are joining me, if this is your first time, or if you're a long-time follower, or if you're a client, please say hi. Please let me know what state you're living in. Please let me know what country you're from. I always love to see where everybody is from because we are a diverse patchwork of people who come from so many places, and we contribute so much to this country. And it is my intention to make sure that you find out answers and that you get some measure of security and peace, and hopefully get the courage to go forward in your immigration journey. So if you have a question, hi Gabby, how are you? If you have Gabby living in Texas, we're going to talk about Texas in just a second. But if you have a question, go ahead and pop your question in the boxes below. I am live streaming on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, and YouTube, so I can reach as many people as possible. And if I have a favor to ask of you, if you are following me anywhere, please share my videos. You never know when the information that I share might help someone's life out. So with that being said, I'm going to start out with a topic right now. And the question that I have is that I want to start out today is, if you have a pending asylum case, can you file for VAWA? For example, if you came into the country, you filed for asylum, and somehow you are now married to a U.S. citizen or to a green card holder, but you already filed an asylum and you are suffering in your marriage. Your husband or your wife tries to control where you go. They call you names. They make you feel bad. They tell you that you don't have a green card and you're not a citizen and you don't have any rights. Or they keep telling you that they're not going to help you with your immigration case because they just won't. If you have a pending asylum case, can you file for VAWA, and how will it affect your asylum case? The answer is that it doesn't matter what immigration case that you already have pending. If you are married to a U.S. citizen or to a green card holder and you are having a bad marriage, you are having problems in your marriage, and you still don't have a green card, VAWA is a way for you to possibly get your green card even faster than it might be possible with an asylum. And if you already have a pending asylum case, that's okay. We have filed lots and lots of I-360 VAWA applications for our asylum clients. And here is something that is really, really good news that you might welcome. Even if you entered the country without permission, let's say you were brought in as a child or you crossed the border yourself and you don't have proof that you came in with entry and inspection, VAWA does not prohibit you from getting a green card. In fact, you may be able to get a green card through VAWA without ever leaving the country. And for those of you who have filed asylum as a solution to getting a work permit, as a solution to getting a work permit, to getting a green card without leaving the United States, VAWA may be an option for you. So here are the top requirements that you need to satisfy in order to file for VAWA. And obviously, the best way to find out whether you qualify and whether we can actually help you is to give our office a call so that we can ask you some questions and so that we can do a case evaluation to make sure that there's no problems. And if we can't find VAWA as a solution for you, we will look for as many options for you as possible. I cannot stress how important it is to us to make sure that no stone be left unturned in your immigration journey, because something that frequently happens is that you'll go to a lawyer, you'll go to an immigration lawyer, and they'll stop short of asking you all of the questions for all of the cases that might be a potential option for you. And we don't want to do that. We try very hard to literally explore everything. So if you want to file for VAWA, here are the top few requirements that you need to satisfy. There might be more, obviously, on a case-by-case basis. But number one, you must be married to a U.S. citizen or to a green card holder. If your spouse is not a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, then VAWA may not be an option for you, right? So that's number one. Number two, your marriage must be made in good faith. That means that you must have married for the purpose of having a marriage together and to have a life together. And literally what it means is that you could not have paid this person for the sole purpose of getting married so that you can file for a green card, right? That's called a fraudulent marriage. But one thing that I do want to differentiate is that a lot of times you might end up getting married to somebody. You might be an immigrant, you might marry somebody, and everything is good on your end, but all of a sudden your spouse starts demanding money from you. If your spouse starts demanding money from you, if they start blackmailing you, saying that they're going to cancel your green card case unless you pay them money, that's different. To me, that is very different than actually agreeing upfront to pay something to get married, right? That's totally different than finding yourself in a situation where you marry somebody because you care about them and because you want to have a life with them, but then it turns out that they just want to use you for money. Now, to me, that is definitely manipulation. That counts as abuse in my book. And we have had lots of cases approved with that, because where there's financial extortion, where there's financial abuse, there is also a lot of emotional abuse that's happening as well. So number 3 is that if you are filing for VAWA as a spouse, you must have lived together with your spouse for any period of time. You could have lived either in the United States or you could have lived outside the United States, but it doesn't matter. You just have to have lived together with your spouse for any period of time. It could have been 1 day or 1 year. It does not matter. Okay. And last, we have to show that you have good moral character. So there are several types of arrests that if you have them in the past 3 years before filing for VAWA, then we need to ask for special permissions. We need to file special waivers. But just want to say that there are a lot of types of convictions that may not be a problem for a VAWA case. So that is what we want to explore with you to see if it's a possibility for you, because VAWA can help you get a green card. It can help you get a work permit. It can help you get a travel document, and it can help you fix your status inside the United States without having to leave, which is such a big concern. You know, you don't want to get separated from your family. You don't want to risk not being to see your children for God knows how long if you do get denied outside, okay? So if you do need an evaluation for this case, our number is 212-248-7907. Now, I want to bring up something too, because many of you might be in relationships. Thank you, Eric. I love that. You might be in a relationship with somebody where your relationship is really bad, right? Your partner is controlling you. They demand you work. They demand you give them money. They curse you out. Sometimes they might even physically hurt you. When you're in situations like this, but your spouse is not a U.S. citizen and they're not a green card holder, does that mean that you don't have any options? And the answer to that is no. You may actually still have 2 options if your partner is hurting you or you're in a bad relationship and they're not a U.S. citizen. So what are these 2 options? Number 1 is if your partner has actually hurt you physically and you've had to go to the police, then you may be eligible for something called a U visa. Now, for the U visa, you do have to make a police report. You do have to go forward to the police, and you do have to cooperate with them in their investigation. But many times you might be afraid to do that because you're afraid of the consequences. If you're undocumented, you may be too scared to go to the police. So what happens if you have been hurt in your relationship, but you never went to the police? That's okay. Then we would like to look to see if you qualify for something called a T visa. Now, T stands for trafficking, but let me explain this in simpler terms that I wish every attorney out there understood. When you are in a relationship with somebody and they basically treat you like a servant, they hurt you, they make you work, they make you work around the house, right? And if you don't do that work, then they get mad at you and then they try to do things to you. These are actually signs that they're forcing labor out of you, right? They're forcing your services. And when that happens, then we have the possibility of doing something called a T visa case. Now, I personally really love I love VAWA cases for what they could do for clients, but I love the T visa cases even more because if you have the permanent bar, we can much more easily fix that through a T visa than a VAWA. And through the T visa, we can ask for forgiveness of many more immigration violations. So the bottom line is that even if you're not married to a US citizen, even if you're not married to a green card holder, if you are suffering in your relationship, give us a call. Let's find out if we could possibly do a U visa or a T visa for you. Now, our telephone number is 212-248-7907. The reason why it is so important to take action as soon as you can to find out what your options are is precisely for the fact that this is an election year. This is an election year, and we don't know what's going to happen. But we already see, like for those of you living in Texas, my people living in Texas, that and Florida too, right? And Arizona, wherever you are in these states, there is a high, there's high action being taken to try to make life more difficult for immigrants, right? Even if you're a documented person, it is very scary to be an immigrant without citizenship, without papers. I believe that it's always best to find out what your options are now and to make moves on it now before it becomes too difficult, okay? So 212-248-7907. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and answer some questions right now. Gabby, hello again. Sade, Manu from California and Florida and Massachusetts. Chinyere, Orondo from Atlanta. Yeah, Jesse, yeah, I don't think that the government is doing much anything. And also Randy from Ghana, nice to see you. Okay, let's go ahead and answer some questions live. Let's see what I can get through. I'm going to go to TikTok first. All right. Eric Lopez, thank you so much for the hearts. If you're sending us a message on Instagram, we're having a very difficult time responding to DMs on Instagram. So what I recommend to you is to just call us. Call us at 212-248-7907. That's the best way to get in touch with us. Or you can go directly to our website and send us a message through our contact form on our website. If you're sending us a DM on Instagram, it is very hard for us to respond to those. So we don't want you to lose out on getting the help that you need. So do call us instead at 212-248-7907. Just Me is saying, I got my work permit receipt. What's next? Just Me. Now, if you filed for your work permit and you got your receipt, that is the first step. The next step is usually you'll have to, for the most part, do a fingerprinting appointment. This is called your biometrics notice. And then eventually, depending on what category of work permit you file, you'll get your work permit approved. From Myra Esquivel, I have DACA and I did advance parole, but upon entry, my documents were not stamped. Can I renew still? From Myra Esquivel. Myra, even if your document was not stamped, you can still go to the online I-94 portal for CBP. Just Google I-94 lookup, and it'll take you to that page on CBP, and you can enter in your passport information, and you can look up your entry information at that time. So even if your advance parole document was not stamped, you might be able to find your I-94 information online. Let's see. Carmen Peralta from Louisiana, green card holder for 33 years. I have an old felony 2009, and now I have removal. What to do? I've got a son who's a citizen for 26 years. From Carmen. Carmen, that's really serious. It sounds like your green card was possibly revoked because of this criminal history. So this is actually something that is a much deeper question, which we'd love to see if we can help you, Carmen. But where somebody used to have a green card and they commit a crime and you get a conviction, and that conviction causes you to lose your green card. And it is possible. That's why I say that, just having a green card by itself is not always as protective as you might think. And you have to be very careful about what you do. So in this case, like for example, Carmen, you committed something and you lost your green card and you got removed. Now, if you have already been removed and you're still inside the United States and you got a removal order, then I would ideally want to look to see if you qualify for a T visa, possibly a U visa, because the protections underneath the T visa and the U visa are a little bit more broad. So depending on what your conviction is for, though. So we really, first of all, we can't do anything until we analyze your criminal conviction. Now, Carmen, I recommend for you to get together your conviction record, your documents that show what you were convicted of, right? Because you could be charged with something, but at the end of the day, what really matters in immigration is what was the ultimate and final conviction that the court gave to you. and we have to analyze that. Sometimes we can attack the conviction, we can try to get it reopened. Other times we may not be able to do that. So Carmen, first of all, get your records, give us a call, 212-248-7907, so that we can perform a criminal analysis on your convictions to see what immigration possibilities are out there for you. Thank you so much for your question. I am Para Mantal, VAWA green card approval rate. For my office, it's nearly a 100% approval rate that we have. Martine Burnham is asking, attorney, how long does it take to process VAWA, please? Martine, for our office, it takes us average 6 months to put the case together. We're working on making it faster, but our primary focus is to make sure that we give you a high quality case that has a much higher chance of being approved rather than putting together something sloppy for immigration. So it takes us average 6 months to put the case together. Sometimes we're faster depending on the specifics of the case, but immigration will take about 3 years to approve this case. I-824 processing time is roughly 1 year. What are the chances for the I601 approved from Adel Nubia? Adel Nubia, I've not really seen any get denied, but I can't speak for other attorneys. I could say that, you know, we have a pretty high rate. It's not so hard, especially if you're doing VAWA. Let's see. Someone saying it's going to voicemail instantly. I'll send a message to my team to see if there's something happening with our phones, but just keep calling. Sometimes if a lot of people call at the same time, that may happen. Mustafa is asking, divorce while waiting for I-485. I-130 is already approved and the interview is done and we have 2 kids. Should I worry about this? From Mustafa. Mustafa, yeah, that's actually a problem, because if your I-130 is approved, but your I-485 is not approved, but your I-485 is based upon your I-130, if you've already gotten divorced, most immigration offices will take the stance that they cannot approve your I-485 anymore because your marriage is already terminated. So if that's the case, you know, I would like to understand what's happened in your marriage. You know, what problems did you have? Because a lot of the times, if you get divorced while you're, you know, while your case is pending, and your spouse just simply won't finish out the case with you, especially if you have kids together, to me, that's a sign. That's a sign that there might be some other problems happening. And, you know, if that's the case, then we may be able to convert your case to a VAWA application so that you can continue it by yourself, even if you've gotten divorced. But if you have gotten divorced, you have to act fast because you now have a deadline to file for VAWA, and that deadline is 2 years from the date of divorce. Sade is asking, if I get my name on my spouse's bank account now, even though we've been married a year, and I send that information as evidence for a green card through marriage, would it be a plus or not, from Sade? Sade, thank you so much for your question. So if you are ever filing for a marriage-based green card, the key is to submit as much good faith evidence of your marriage as possible. This includes joint returns for your taxes, joint bank statements, joint housing applications, joint rent statements. Anything joint, immigration loves to see. They consider this to be one of the highest indications that your marriage is made in good faith. So a lot of people won't send anything with their application. And in fact, if you file for a marriage green card and you don't send any evidence for immigration, that's actually a red flag, and it can actually cause your case to get a higher degree of scrutiny. And you might even get called for a request for evidence. You might even get called for an interview. So if you're filing for a marriage-based green card, you should absolutely submit as much evidence as you can to show that your marriage is real. Again, immigration doesn't care about pictures that much. They don't care about your cards that you send to each other. They like to see joint taxes, joint bank account statements, joint utilities, things like that. But what can you do if you have gotten married, your marriage is in good faith, but your spouse refuses to put you on the lease, or they refuse to put you on the bank statement, or they refuse to do a joint bank account with you, or they give you excuses and they say, oh, well, not now. I don't want to put it on, you know, X, Y, and Z. Now is not the time, or, you know, you don't really need it. When your spouse, when your U.S. citizen spouse refuses to put your name on your joint accounts, that is usually a signal to me that they're trying to control your situation, whether or not they don't want you to have access to the finances in your family, or whether or not they don't want to do something that will be helpful in your immigration case, that's a problem. And 9 times out of 10, okay, honestly, 10 times out of 10, when that happens, usually it's a sign that you might be eligible for VAWA, because where your spouse is trying to control the situation around you and you're the one without papers, that means that there's other things happening too that can be very harmful to your immigration case. I mean, forget about the fact that it could be harmful to your mental sanity, to your self-esteem, to your physical safety, things like that. And if you're in that situation, I would just say, don't wait, don't delay. Call us at 212-248-7907 to see if you might qualify for VAWA so that we can help you go forward. All right. Junia is asking, me and my husband separated for about 6 months because of a bad marriage. I want to give my marriage some time as it may be better. If I file for VAWA, is there any requirement to have a divorce? From Junia June. Very good question. Do you need to get divorced in order to file for VAWA? And the answer is no. And here is the thing, guys. I understand that relationships are very complicated. I just got called a homewrecker. I thought it was so funny. Somebody posted in one of my videos that I'm a homewrecker because I'm talking about the fact that people have the right to file for VAWA if you've been in a bad marriage. And, you know, whatever, you can call me whatever you want. My obligation and my interest is making sure that you know what your rights are. And I would never advocate for people to get divorced. I think that everyone should do what is best for them. Sometimes getting divorced is actually harder mentally, emotionally, it's even harder to do. But here's the thing. If you know that you have this legal right in your back pocket to file for VAWA and get a green card, if you don't have to get divorced, you don't have to move out of your house with your spouse, you could do this case pretty much in secret without them finding out and get your green card at least. So while you're working on your marriage, you don't have to lose your legal rights, right? And that's what I would recommend to you, Junia, is to give us a call at 212-248-7907, because you can work on your marriage. That's totally fine, and that is up to you, and that is your right. But I would encourage you to do the VAWA application, because then at least that's one less thing that your spouse can try to control you with, okay? Milton is asking, can I travel with my VAWA Advance Parole to different countries? From Milton, absolutely. But before you travel an Advance Parole, you want to talk to your attorneys and to your legal office, because usually traveling on advanced parole is just fine, except if you have certain immigration violations or criminal history that you want to be a little bit more careful about. So always talk to your lawyer's office before you travel on your advanced parole. I have never, sorry, some people's comments are funny. What is the difference between a 601 and I601A? From Lupita Solis. Lupita, the difference is that the I601A is only to excuse unlawful presence, and you only do it while you're inside the United States. But if you have any violations like misrepresentation and fraud, or you have a criminal conviction for a crime involving moral turpitude, these things, for these things, you would require an I601. And depending on what case you're doing, sometimes you can only do that when you're outside the United States. Sometimes with cases like VAWA cases, you can do them inside the United States with your case. Can I sponsor my mother-in-law from Priya? Priya, you cannot sponsor your mother-in-law, but once your spouse becomes a US citizen, they can sponsor. Thank you so much for the follows, guys. How long does it take for a joint motion to reopen with ICE in Dallas? From Super Suman. Super Suman, and anybody else who is trying to reopen your case with the courts, and you're trying to get DHS to join in the motion, these can take up to about a year, sometimes more. Let's see. I've been waiting around a year. I'm married to a US citizen. I entered around 5. From Eric, do I have to leave still? From Eric, it depends. It depends on whether you qualify for certain cases. Call our office at 212-248-7907. So a lot of people think that just because you entered illegally and you're married to a US citizen, the only option for you to fix is for you to leave the United States and do the I-601A waiver. However, I want to know from you, what problems have you had in your marriage? Because every marriage has some. There are very few marriages that don't have problems, but sometimes in many cases where, if your spouse is controlling, they're very jealous, right? They're very jealous, and they know that you don't have papers, and they know that they're the US citizen, and you know it too, right? You know it too. So you might be a little bit afraid of getting them angry, right? You know that they don't want you to go play soccer with your friends or go for a beer after work, or they go into your phone, they call you 10 times in a row, right? If your spouse is doing these things, you may not have to leave the United States. Call us, Eric, 212-248-7907. Let's see if we can help you fix your papers without having to leave. Kali Punjaban, how long does it take to get a work permit and travel permit for VAWA? From Kali Punjaban. Kali, I'm thinking that it's now about approximately 8 months. Sikandar, if we don't take every sort of case, so if you've called my office, we don't want to steal your money. We want to work on cases that we work on. So we don't work on every single case. We don't work on defensive asylum. And if also sometimes, you have to be the right fit of a client too. Sometimes we have clients, people that call us that get very aggressive. And unfortunately, we wouldn't work if that's the case. What is the average time you're seeing for prima facie letter from Susie? Susie, I think it's taking about 4 to 5 months to get the prima facie right now. Any advice for marriage-based green card interviews from Lauren Cunningham? Lauren Cunningham, I have so much advice regarding interviews. My number one tip right now is to find me on YouTube. If you look in my TikTok bio, you'll on my YouTube page is linked to my TikTok. And I have huge videos on tips on how to have a successful marriage interview. And I have done hundreds of marriage interviews. I have done hundreds of immigration interviews throughout my career. So I have a lot of advice. So follow me on YouTube or just look up my videos. But right now, the advice that I can give you if you do have an interview coming up with immigration is, number one, be prepared, know exactly what you have in your application and what you've put down as your responses. Number two, make sure that you have all the documentation that you need to have. Number three, if you're doing a joint marriage application, make sure you go over your how we met history and your dates and storyline with your spouse before the interview, because believe it or not, most people have different stories, especially if you're a real couple. Let's see. I am missing a lot of questions. Hi, Nicole. While in removal, to file VAWA in court or to get out of court and file through USCIS from João João. Listen, if you're in removal and you qualify for VAWA, first of all, we have to file VAWA directly with USCIS. Now, there's two things that you might be thinking about. One is you can ask the judge for something called VAWA cancellation of removal in court. But this is actually a little bit harder. I don't recommend doing it because we can actually file for VAWA outside, and it's better for you because then we can try to get you out of court. We can get you a work permit. It works better than VAWA cancellation of removal because you're not going to have a hearing on your case. So João, if you want to file for VAWA, if you think you qualify, please call us. We would love to help you. And my recommendation would be for us to file an I-360 VAWA application with USCIS and try to close out your case in court and get it dismissed. That's the way to go, guys, because you don't want to be in removal if you don't have to. I am Ben Wool. My wife does not want me to work, and when I try to get a job, she sabotages it. There are no jobs where I stay in the U.S. Can I go to another state and come back on the weekends? From I am Ben Wool. Ben Wool, that is not normal. Let me tell you something. If your spouse shows up at your job site, constantly calls you at work, gets you in trouble with your manager and gets you in trouble at work, they don't want you to work, or conversely, if they want you to work more than you can handle, they want you to work so much that you're tired day and night. They want you to give them all of your earnings, and they want you to provide receipts for the things that you buy, and they get on your case every time you spend money on yourself, even if it's like $20. These are signs that you may qualify for VAWA. All right. This is called financial abuse. It's called economic abuse. And, it's a matter of control as well. So I am Ben Wool. If your spouse is a U.S. citizen or a green card holder, call us. 212-248-7907. And as to your question about, can you travel to a different state to get a job? I don't see a problem with that, but do call us first so that we could go over your case together, okay? Let's see. Aboud Syed, they need evidence that I was extremely abused or something, and I really don't know what should I focus on. Okay, good question. So here's the thing, guys. I have pretty much done hundreds. I think I've probably done at least like 1,000 VAWA cases by now. You don't need to have extreme evidence. What does that mean anyway? Because the thing is, the law is written in such a way that makes the evidence that you can give for VAWA cases very broad. And the government will accept almost anything. And the thing also is that abuse is very subjective, and the law builds it into, it's built into the VAWA law that abuse is subjective. So what may be abuse to you may not be to somebody else. And you don't need police reports. You don't need medical reports, because also these are usually evidences of physical abuse, and VAWA allows us to file cases where there's no physical abuse. You don't need physical abuse to win your VAWA case. Emotional abuse, manipulation, verbal abuse, economic abuse that I have talked about, something called digital abuse, where your spouse tracks you, they hack into your phone and get your passwords, they call you 10 times in a row. These are all forms of extreme cruelty, which is allowed in VAWA cases. And the evidence you need is not as extreme as you think. We have filed and won cases for people who literally had no evidence except themselves. And in fact, all the evidence in the world does not matter for your case if your affidavit is not good. That's why we take so much time to make sure that our clients' affidavits are extremely good in a VAWA case. And we take hours to interview our clients so that we can get all the details that we need regarding what has happened in their life. So Aboude Syed, call us at 212-248-7907. From M. Cam Jr., my friend's mother overstayed past the 6-month visa and she wants to sponsor her. What is the chance of her getting approved and how long do you think it'll take? So Cam, that's very interesting. If there's only a few types of cases where having an overstay is not a problem, and these include VAWA, or if you are married to a U.S. citizen, or if you're the parent of a U.S. citizen, or if your child is a U.S. citizen sponsoring you, and you entered legally, or you're doing a T visa, a U visa, a asylum case. Overstays on your visa do not matter for these cases. However, it sounds like your friend's mother wants to be sponsored through something different than that. And usually for those other types of cases, you need to have a non-expired, any business or work related visa. You have to be in current status and you can't have any unlawful presence. Rohit, hello. I have one question. You tell me I got my work permit advance parole on marriage, but I have asylum withdrawal. It's pending. Rohit, that's a good question. This is the question that a lot of my asylum clients have for me, which is that if we've now filed for VAWA and you now have a pending asylum case, but you also have advance parole, can you travel? And my advice is to be very cautious if you have filed for asylum, and to travel once you have your green card. But generally speaking, if you withdraw your asylum case and you don't travel back to your home country, usually it's okay, but you have to speak to your lawyer before you take any steps. Can I do a T visa with a pending asylum from Emmanuel Fonchin? Yes, absolutely. And we're doing this for many people. Mama County, I called USCIS for doing a follow-up on a VAWA case, and I was told it's at Vermont Center. What should I be expecting from Mama County? You have to wait, because when your case is pending at Vermont Service Center or Nebraska Service Center, I know that when you file for immigration cases, it's really, really difficult to be in the dark, to not know what's happening, because once you file your immigration application, months can go by, sometimes years can go by, and you have no idea what's happening in your case. And when that happens, it can be very difficult. It's very, stressful. It's anxiety inducing to not have information about what's next. But the best advice that I can give to you is to be patient. the majority of immigration cases can take years to resolve. So there's not a good way for it to go faster. Sometimes you can ask for an expedite if you have an emergency in your case. So for example, if you're suffering a super medical emergency or other urgent humanitarian crisis, you can ask for immigration to expedite your case, but it's based upon discretion. So it's not always guaranteed. So when you have filed your VAWA case, it takes average 3 years to process by immigration. The best thing I can say is that you have to wait. Usually what will come next are receipts, the prima facie determination, and within a couple of years, you might get a request for evidence or you might get an approval or a decision on your case. So good luck to you, Mama, and stay strong. Emmanuel, thank you so much. Emmanuel says, I'm blessed to work with your team. Emmanuel, I'm so thankful and so grateful to you for being a client as well. Is there any option for people with DACA to get citizenship from AR, and for all of my DACA people out there, if you want to get citizenship, but before you can get citizenship, you first must obtain a green card. And for us to get you a green card, we have to see what you qualify for. Do you possibly qualify for VAWA? Do you possibly qualify for a U visa or for a T visa? Call us at 212-248-7907 to see if we can help you with that. Okay, Patricia is asking, does my abusive husband have the power to revoke the VAWA with all the violence and aggression he did to me? From Patricia. Patricia, I'm so sorry to hear about what you have gone through. But here's the thing. When you file for VAWA, one of the biggest fears that you might have is that your spouse is going to try to sabotage your case, right? Maybe they're going to write to immigration and say that you have a fake marriage, or that this is fake, that they never abused you, that they never did any of that. And I want you to rest assured that they don't have control over your case. In fact, USCIS is not allowed to use the information that they get from any party to disqualify you from your case. They have to go through a lot of steps to use any outside information. So they're not going to use outside information from your spouse in particular, who has a motive to try to inflict pain upon you even further, right? They're not going to use that. So don't worry about that, Patricia. Don't let that be the hold back to letting you move forward in your life. So call us, Patricia, 212-248-7907. Don't let these fears hold you back. When you're afraid that your spouse is going to try to sabotage your case or to cause you further pain, they want to divorce you in the middle of the case. These are all tactics of manipulation. I want you to know that you're not actually beholden to that. I want you to have that power. I want you to understand that you actually have the power to live your life in this way so that you can file for this case, okay? All right, let's see what else I have. Haid Carvajal, hi Moumita, listening from Los Angeles, California. You're awesome. Thank you so much, Haid. Is there any other option to stay in the U.S. other than asylum if you entered the U.S. on a B1 visa from Parag Pasin? Parag, yes, we can look at the T visa, the U visa. And if you're married, we can go down the marriage route. Angela, hi. Be honest to the work. J1 waiver 2-year requirement, would like to apply for a green card application. Is it possible for us to file hardship waiver? And if so, how fast is the process? J1, yeah, of course, you can file the hardship waiver, but I believe it takes a long time for USCIS to process the J1 waivers. The other option is to try to get the no objection letter before you file. How long does the process of the green card take when it's a student? F1 student visa, married to a U.S. citizen who's a student as well, from Renata Papi. Renato, these days, here's the thing. If you have no problems in your case, right? If you have legal entry, you're married to a citizen, and they're willing to help you on your case, your green card application will take about 6 to 12 months to be processed by USCIS. So it's really fast. But if you're both students, don't forget that you need to have, you have to show financial sponsorship. So if your spouse is also a student and they don't make enough income, then they'll need to get a joint financial sponsor. but it still takes the same. Can I travel out of the country with VAWA Advance Parole if I entered illegally in previously? From Sharif Mohammed. Sharif, I think the question kind of cut out a little bit, but here's the thing. Yes, if you have VAWA and you have a VAWA Advance Parole, you may be able to travel outside with no problems, even if you entered illegally to the country. And I know this because so many of our clients did not enter the country legally, and we are able to help them with VAWA, and they've been able to get a work permit and advanced parole and travel back to their country after 20 to 30 years sometimes. And it's wonderful to be able to do that for clients. So you can travel, but again, my caveat is if you want to travel on advanced parole, please talk to your attorney first. Talk to your attorney's office first to make sure it's okay, because for the most part, it's okay, but you don't want to take a risk, okay? If I travel home with H-1B, do I have to get a visa to come back to the US? From Noza, only if your visa is expired. Hi, from Devo. Hi, Moumita. I have a pending 290B over 7 months. Now it's a motion to reconsider or reopen. From Devo. I'm assuming your question is about how long will it take. We're usually seeing the I-290Bs get approved or decided within 1 year. Nikita, thank you for the follow. Bob, hello, Mrs. Moumita. How long does it take for government to approve the case? And does it mean that the case is on a good way? Thank you from Bob. I'm not sure which type of case you're talking about, but if you're talking about VAWA cases, it takes about 2.5 to 3 years to be approved. And usually when you don't hear anything, it's usually a good sign, especially if you've gotten a prima facie. Barisa, our phone number is 212-248-7907. I'm going to pin it right now. Sorry, I always forget to do that, but I'm doing it right now. Okay, it's pinned. I hired another attorney for VAWA, but I would like to have a second opinion. Can you please help me? From Gautam Taneha. Gautam, I don't have the time ability to do second opinions on your case, but what I recommend is that if you have filed for VAWA with a different attorney and you want to get a second opinion, you can give us a call. Just give us a call, Gautam, 212-248-7907. And we'll see what we can do. But I don't make any guarantees that we'll be able to look at your case. I filed for VAWA 36 months ago. I got 4 prima facies and still no answer. Is it normal? From Leo AZ. Leo AZ, it is normal, believe it or not. 36 months ago, you're on the track to getting your decision, or you might get a request for evidence. In fact, we just got an approval of a parent I-360 VAWA application today, and this application was pending for 3 years, for 36 months. And I know this because I filed it in 2020. So Lorena, if you're hearing, I don't know if you can hear this, but you just got approved. How long does it take for my husband to get permission to be here? From La Luna es a mi gusto. La Luna es a mi gusto. For your husband to be able to come to the United States, depending on what country they have to process from, it can take 2 to 3 years to come, especially if you're trying to do the immigrant visa and come to the United States. VAWA case RFE can be sent in a year or must be sent in 6 months. From Elon Demart. Elon, I'm not too sure exactly what you mean by the question, but in my experience, usually if you get a request for evidence, it comes after about at least a year and a half into your case. I hope that helps. Will, thank you so much. Will from El Salvador. F2B with a priority date of May 2013. Documentarily qualified in 2022. How long before consular interview will be scheduled? Will, the thing, if you are in a preference category and you're waiting for your priority to become current, the best thing to do is to look at the visa bulletin. So just look up the visa bulletin, and you want to look at this month, and you can look at the next month. So I believe January 2024 should be published by now, and see what it says for El Salvador, because El Salvador is and oversubscribed countries, so they have a little bit more of a wait time. But 2013, it sounds like you should be coming up soon on your interview. So what I do is I like to look to see what priority date your category is up to right now, and I just subtract from that year to this year, and that's my estimate for how long it will usually take. Jesse Peralta, if you return from advanced parole, congratulations. Adjust status, absolutely. Mr. Bond, marriage-based green card, 10-year card was approved in 2021, and now spouse threatens to cancel and report to immigration. Can she cancel? No, she cannot. Once you have your green card, your spouse cannot cancel your green card. And if you have a 2-year green card, then what they can do is refuse to help you with your removal of conditions application, and that's fine. If your spouse is refusing to help you with your removal of conditions, or you got divorced, that's why we're here. And you can call us at 212-248-7907. But if you already have your 10-year green card and your spouse they threaten to cancel your green card, the bottom line is that they simply cannot do anything to you. But how it will affect you is that you may not be able to apply for citizenship in 3 years. You might have to wait 5 years instead. Okay. Harish, I and my wife don't feel safe here because of my employer's torture and mental harassment. My employer clearly plays with my emotions and feelings, and then he holds my pay for almost 500 hours. Harish, I'm so sorry to hear that. It sounds to me like you might be in a situation that is considered trafficking. You know, when your employer plays with your emotions, they scare you, they might make fun of your immigration status, and they also don't pay you properly. They withhold your pay. They say things to you that make you feel obligated to just keep up with that emotional torture. Usually these are signs that you might be in a trafficking situation, and we might be able to help you with something called a T visa. And a T visa would help you and your spouse get status in the United States and be on your way to getting a green card and U.S. citizenship. So Harish, please call us at 212-248-7907. All right, guys, it's all the time I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you found this helpful. Please, again, my request to you is to share my videos, share my live with anyone you think it might help. You never know when it might help someone's situation, okay? And follow me wherever I am: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. If you follow me on Facebook, please note that we're moving to a new Facebook page. So anyway, just write our number down, 212-248-7907. I hope everyone has a happy and healthy holiday. Please stay safe. Please enjoy the time with your loved ones. And I hope to see you again soon. Take care. God bless.